What up, YouTube? It's your boy G YouTube back at it again with another video for you. So, shout out Knick Nation. You heard this is gonna be Knick Nation episode number 2 so far in this series, and let's jump right into it. And let's start off with, since we started off with the Brooklyn Nets last time, we're gonna end with the Brooklyn Nets and start with the Knicks right now. So the Knicks started off last week with a dominant win over the Washington Wizards, as you would have probably expected. A strong game from Randall with 37 points, and Mitchell Robinson came back and he got 12 boards. And unfortunately, in the Milwaukee game, only after playing 6 minutes, Knicks fans, we are just when things start to go right, things always go wrong for us, man. So we lost Mitchell Robinson with a foot fracture for, I don't know, that injury that definitely has a timetable of like 4 to 8 weeks, something like that. So we lost him for another good minute after he just came back from a hand or wrist injury, I believe. So that really sucks, man. He was definitely showing strong. He had a strong showing against Washington. He was looking good up against the Bucks up until he got hurt. So that's real unfortunate, man. And another person we just lost, Mike Woodson, the guy with the perfect beard. Let's take a picture. Let's just appreciate how many years we have had this man. God blessed Mike Woodson with a perfect beard. You want to call James Harden the beard? This man is the beard. This man is the beard. It's just so immaculate. And, he's been great for our team as an assistant coach. He filled in when D'Antoni resigned or got fired after that whole Melo thing. So everybody knows about Mike Woodson if you're a New York Knicks fan. It's sad to see him go, but, he's good. He's going to do great things for Indiana as their head coach. But man, that dude's beard is just perfect, like for real. He's got no other hair on his head besides that and his eyebrows, and he really doesn't need anything else, to be honest. But anyways, on to the Knicks. So yeah, there was a dominant performance against Washington, a great comeback win against Washington the second game. So we swept them. We came back from a 17-point deficit at one point to come back, with Alec Burks leading us with 27 points. RJ Barrett had a strong showing. I believe he had 21. Actually, no, RJ Barrett finished with a strong 24 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Rough game from Randall, he only had 13 points, shot 5 for 16 from the field. 9 boards, 4 assists. Like, wasn't a great game for him. He didn't have a lot of turnovers, but he just wasn't. They were locking him up. They were really focusing in on him and forcing him to do a lot of other things, even though he was playing a lot of minutes out there. But it happens. But that's why you have other people to step up the role. Manuel quickly had a nice game, 16 points, 5 for 13. And then we also played against the Bucks. A very nice win, even though there was no Giannis, no Chris Middleton, no Drew Holiday. But we also didn't have Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson got hurt, and we've lost him for several weeks in this game. So I would say it was we were about on an even playing field, just about. So it was nice to see them win without Julius Randle up in the lineup, and unfortunately Mitchell Robinson getting put out of the game. But it was nice to see. Burks had a really nice game. Barrett also had a solid game. I think they both finished with 21 points. Yeah, they both finished with 21 points. Even though Barrett struggled from the 3-point line, Barrett had some clutch buckets, man, and so did Alec Burks. They're both clutch. Alec Burks and RJ are both clutch, man. I really don't like Payton. I don't know why he's still getting minutes, when those are minutes that could be going to Emmanuel quickly. Even though in this game we did see that Elfrid Payton had reduced minutes, even with no Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle out of the lineup. So I think that's kind of good to see him. I think Elfrid Payton is better in a reduced role. In my opinion, he's better in a reduced role, and he could play more quality minutes than just playing getting the quantity and just spreading that quality that he would play in a shorter amount of minutes, in a longer span of time. So kind of diluting it, in my opinion. And Quickly, you just, Quickly is Quickly. If you're a Knicks fan, what Quickly's been doing, he drops buckets. Even though he was very inefficient, he still made an impact out there on the floor, and he also hit a clutch bucket down the stretch to give us the win. Even though there was no superstars, none of the star players playing. It was a great game, great game to watch if you missed it. And now on to the Brooklyn Nets. So, as I expected, and as I warned all you Nets fans, the game against the Utah Jazz was not pretty. Y'all looked real discombobulated without Harden in the lineup. Kyrie's been out the past 3 games. He's probably going to be out a couple more for personal reasons, and that's fine. Kyrie do what he does, but without Harden, y'all just looked real bad. Granted, it was against Utah, the best team in the NBA, offensively, defensively, both top 5, but I didn't expect that to look that bad. That was real bad. That was real bad. So we're just gonna forget about that game, but it just goes to show you Harden's impact. You couldn't even breach the 90-point range. And I don't think y'all scored less than like 100 points. Let's see. The last time the Brooklyn Nets scored less than 100 points was on January 25th in a win against the Miami Heat. That's a lot of games far and in between to not score under 100 points. And even before that, I think that's the only game you've ever scored against 100 points this season. That's the only game. Wow. Besides the Utah game that you've scored under 100 points, which is crazy. That's really wild. You've definitely played great teams. That's mind-boggling to me. But anyways, had a solid win against Washington, Portland. There was a lot of close games this week, especially against Detroit. I don't know what it is with Detroit, man. They're just giant slayers. And that was a real close game, and y'all had to come back on that one. Great game. Harden dropped like 44, 14, and 8. He was just ridiculous. I think he led the team in all like the statistical categories for the most part. That was a dope game to watch. James Harden just took over. Big buckets from Bruce Brown and Joey Buckets at the end. Yeah, but for sure that was a great game. But now, very interesting. The Nets have signed LaMarcus Aldridge, and I think this is a really good signing for them. I think LaMarcus Aldridge, more so than Blake Griffin, is better for the bench in terms of trying to create their own shot and trying to have some type of offense other than when James Harden is in there. Creating the offense for the second unit specifically. And I think that LaMarcus Aldridge is better than Blake Griffin in that sense. I think Blake Griffin is better defensively, not by too much, but definitely better and more versatile defensively than LaMarcus Aldridge. Because LaMarcus Aldridge is not the prime time LaMarcus Aldridge that we saw and we remember in, Portland, because he was more in the limelight or the spotlight in Portland than he was when he was in San Antonio. But so a lot of the things that he does go under the radar, as do many things in San Antonio with Greg Popovich, but he's not that same dude anymore. He's never really been known for his defensive presence anyways. So it doesn't really plug in any of their holes defensively, but in terms of offensive game, when you have a game against Utah where there's no other stars that you have available to you, whether it be injury or, just personal reasons, whatever it is, I think that he'll definitely be able to help fill that void at that point in time because of his ability to just kind of, move the offense around. He's not necessarily a huge playmaker, but when he's on the floor, he can find that person that's open. He's got a good post-up game, more of a traditional big man. He's got a nice shot, so I think it's a great signing. I don't blame the Nets for making the move, even though they already signed Blake Griffin and all that. You got a bunch of other teams like Houston, Houston trading to Victor Oladipo for a bag of peanuts to the Miami Heat. So you got that. You got Andre Drummond, who's most likely going to the Lakers. As of the recording of this video, it's the 29th of March, 5:46 p.m. I think he's not officially signed, but he's rumored that he's definitely going to sign there. You know, I think that was a good pickup for y'all, especially with those other teams getting better. The Clippers getting Rajon Rondo. I think that was a necessary move for y'all. I think it does solve more of an issue for y'all than I think Blake Griffin does in terms of that. But it'll be very interesting to see how they utilize LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin with one another, because LaMarcus Aldridge, he's a couple seasons removed from his last All-Star season in 2018-2019. So he's not that far removed from averaging. I think he was averaging that season like 21 points on 9 rebounds a game. This season he's averaging like 13 and a half and I think like 5 rebounds a game. But at the same time, taking that into context, you know, the Spurs kind of don't want to incorporate him anymore. They mutually agreed to split with one another. So I feel like that has to play a factor a little bit into, you know, his play so far this season, because last season he was averaging like 19-20 points a game on average on 7 boards. So he's definitely removed from his, you know, all-star appearances, but I don't think that he's that far removed in terms of creating his own shot and, you know, getting those 15 points a game. I think you might even see a little bit of an increase in production from him, because I think he's only played like 21 games this season, and that was, you know, they mutually agreed to split up from one another, and they've been trying to find anything, you know, anything that they could do to split away from one another. And I think you could probably see more of, I don't think he's not gonna return to his all-star form. I think his prime has passed a little bit, because you could just see he doesn't get up like he used to. Not that he was very athletic to begin with, but you could see Father Time has taken a little bit of its toll on him. And I think you'll see him reform to a more of a, you know, post spark player, kind of like how he was in Portland, just to a lesser degree. And a possible lineup you could see is, you know, him, Blake Griffin, Joe Harris, Bruce Brown, and maybe a James Harden or Kyrie Irving out there on the floor. I think that's a real possibility. Definitely, he's still a defensive liability. Blake Griffin, I think, is better defensively, so I think they might be able to cover one another in terms of that. Blake Griffin is not as great of a shooter as LaMarcus Aldridge is, so I think they kind of complement each other in a way. So you probably could see them on the floor together, but my guess is you'll see Blake a little bit more with the starters, rather than LaMarcus Aldridge, because I do think LaMarcus Aldridge is better than Blake Griffin at creating his own shot and, you know, getting his points when he needs to down there in the post. So I think that's my guess on this, but we'll see how that shapes up. You know, everybody's capable of changing their game when they go to play with, you know, whether it be other star players and, you know, just adjusting their game. So we'll see how that goes, because LaMarcus Aldridge has never really had to truly adjust his game. When he went to San Antonio and when he was in Portland, he got to play the game that he needed to play, and now this is going to be a new experience for him, you know, adjusting his game. Kind of the same thing with Blake Griffin, you know, going from LA to Detroit. They both of them kind of have a similar story where they were able to play their own game, and now they have to make an adjustment for the first time in their career, in the latter part of their career. So we'll see how that goes, but the future is definitely bright for y'all right now, and I'm excited to see what the Nets is planning to do and how they're planning to do it, man. So as far as the upcoming schedule for both teams, the Nets right now, they have a game against Minnesota today, Monday. They play Houston on Wednesday, and Thursday they will play Charlotte, and then wrap up the week with Sunday against Chicago. Should be a fairly easy week for them. And then on Monday, guess who they play? The New York Knicks. That should be a really fun game to watch. And so for the Knicks, they play Miami tonight, the March 29th, Monday. Then Wednesday, they play Minnesota. That should be a winnable game. This Miami game, though, should be a very good game. We'll tune in next week to see what the results of that. They're actually playing right now, and while I'm recording this video, so that should be a really good game. I'm gonna go watch it as soon as I hit pause on this video. Dallas on Friday, they're playing. Saturday, got a back-to-back. They're playing against Detroit. should be a very winnable game. And then Monday they play Brooklyn. So the next 5 games, they should at least come out with those 3 wins. If they want to keep their lead as the 4th seed, they should come out with at least 3 of these wins, 3 to 4, if they want to steal a game from Miami and or Brooklyn as well. But this should be a good week for both teams, honestly. It should be. We'll see at the end of the next week how they actually end up playing. But there's a lot of good games this week, so tune in. So that's really all I got for y'all. That's all the news, updates, and all that for this past week. So until the next video, I'm out.